This is an operation theater. They're repairing a sick patient, a delicate surgical procedure. This is a maintenance area. A structure has been opened to make some checks and replace some parts. There's a continual awareness among these skilled technicians that they must not on any account leave a tool in the works. No foreign object of any kind must be allowed to penetrate these sophisticated mechanisms. The pictures and words have been inverted. They should be interchangeable, but they're not. In a hospital, everything is properly accounted for. Surely it is the cause for alarm. But in many aircraft maintenance areas, despite careful procedures, things do get overlooked. The Safety Data and Analysis Unit of the Civil Aviation Authority has compiled a weighty sequence of occurrences from reports it has received over the past 10 years. It makes for unpleasant reading. The conclusion is that a high percentage of foreign object damage, or FOD, is caused by forgetfulness, oversight, and neglect. Cleaning rag found in fuel tanks. And following a special check, cloth rags were found near the booster pumps in the port and starboard outer tanks. Forgetfulness is one of those commonplace attributes of the human condition. Who hasn't forgotten their keys or left their lights on? After takeoff, the pilot found aileron control would not move left. A check found that an internal washer of a plastic chain guard covering the control column was missing. A washer was found, twisted on the floor in front of the base of the column due to a washer being misplaced during the last maintenance activity. Some people know that they have a stone in their shoe, but if it's not hurting, they just leave it. On pre-takeoff checks, the pilot of a short 330 found his rudders jammed. Investigation revealed that a 14-inch metal panel loose on the floor was restricting the left pedal. Others leave the most obvious things behind, almost as if they think they'll take care of themselves. Captain's seat slid back on takeoff occurred at 120 knots. Control handed over to co-pilot. Knife found partially fouling seat track. Most people have left an umbrella on a train or a bus, but 16 of them? Noise reported when aileron control rotated. On removing autopilot servo motor cover, 16 loose fuses found underneath aileron control rod and servo motor. The incriminating evidence against forgetfulness, oversight, and neglect builds up. The last chunk of it concerns the tools that people use in the workplace. Elevator control stiff. Socket found in servo tab. 10mm socket and ratchet found on flight deck. Tools noticed by passenger in speed brake recess. Tools found to be jamming the cooling fan door open. Pliers wedged on top of engine pylon fairing. Wrench found attached to brake cylinder on pre-flight check. Minor damage to left-hand main landing gear door. During routine investigation, an 18-inch screwdriver was found fouling elevator control cable. Loose object on flight deck. On sliding the seat back to disembark, a screwdriver found under the seat. Tools found on floor of electronics bay. Tools left on main landing gear horizontal door. Unlike surgeons in hospitals, aviation maintenance personnel use their own tools and in general treat them with great care. However, even the most meticulously skilled craftsmen have the occasional attack of amnesia, as the report shows. There have been examples of toolboxes and their contents being left on aircraft. Tagging and numbering is the theater operator's safety device. In the aircraft hangar or on the line, each technician must mentally tag a number to each tool they carry with themselves if these incidents are to be avoided. There are not surgeons' masks to protect this sick patient from the bacteria that can foul up the mechanisms. Its foreign germs are just as small in proportion to his size and weight as the other patient. They are the swabs or rags left behind, the screws on the floor, and even the smallest pieces of wire. High engine vibration after start. Inlet guide vanes damaged. Impact damaged at 15 different places. Low pressure turbine damaged in 2 places. suggested the damage caused by something like a 16th-inch ball bearing. On approach, number 4 engine shut down after throttle jammed. Fuel control unit seizure due to fragments of locking wire between the rack and gear segment of the throttle box. Engine had been installed 2 days prior to this incident following workshop visit for high and low pressure turbine and fuel control unit changes. 5 out of 7 engines' throttle cable strands failed. Pulley block assembly had rivet heads embedded in cable groove adjacent to damaged cable position. VHF 1 and 2 failed, attributed to foreign metal objects in audio selector panel. The pages of the occurrence reports are littered with instances of bolts, screws, nuts, and pins that have contributed to some defect or another. There are a number of incidents caused by the kind of everyday items that people carry loose in their pockets. To misplace an office eraser doesn't usually ring alarm bells, unless it happens inside an aircraft under maintenance. One of these caused a serious malfunction. What about the coins people drop? One of this size kept a passenger trapped in his seat throughout his flight. It was found jammed in the seatbelt fastening mechanism. One curious incident vividly demonstrates how vulnerable this patient is. The pilot of an aircraft reported a recurring restriction of his controls. He could only raise the nose so far and beyond a certain climbing attitude, and no further. When he landed, the controls were examined. Nothing was found. When he took off again, exactly the same fault occurred. Back on the ground, the aircraft was stripped down to its bare shell until the culprit revealed itself. A ballpoint pen had dropped into a half-inch square cavity behind the bulkhead. As the aircraft climbed, the pen had been falling backwards, jamming the elevator control and preventing any further backward movement of the rod. In the leveled-off attitude, the pen was moving forward, releasing the controls. People who apply their skills to the maintenance of aircraft are painstaking and thorough. They will take waste containers with them. They'll keep a weathered eye on borrowed tools. But they are as prone to an outbreak of forgetfulness, oversight, and neglect as anyone else. As their own checkmasters, and as the sentinels of the safety of thousands of passengers and crew who will fly that aircraft, there is no other option than to equip themselves with a sixth sense, an extra vigilance, a heightened awareness that any object of any size that they can drop, mislay, forget, and leave behind can become a harmful agent. They can turn up at any time to delay an aircraft's takeoff, to cause an incident in flight or on landing, to cost an airline dearly in checks, repairs, or replacements, to cause alarm and inconvenience to these people and perhaps lose their goodwill at a time when the airline competition is supercharged. This is the patient. Its engines are its heart. Its pulleys, cables, and wires are its muscles and sinews. Its fuel is its blood. Its avionics are its brains. Keep it free from FOD.